Welcome to Mojo Plays, where today we'll be going over 20 of the hardest bosses in the Tomb Raider games. Before we get started, we post new videos all week long, so be sure to subscribe to Mojo Plays and ring that bell to be notified about our latest videos. Constantine, Rise of the Tomb Raider. Constantine may not be a supernatural monster, but that doesn't mean he's a pushover. As one of the top operatives of Trinity, he's well-trained and extremely dangerous. His boss fight plays like a tense game of cat and mouse as he stalks Lara through a ruined cathedral, forcing her to use stealth and quick takedowns. Unlike other bosses that can be brute-forced, Constantine punishes impatience. If he catches you, it's lights out. His strength and unpredictable movement make him a serious challenge, especially for players who prefer direct combat. And just when you think you've won, he pulls out a knife for a brutal final round. Lara may have plot armor, but you sure don't. The Oni Stalker, Tomb Raider 2013. You fought the lesser Oni warriors, but the Oni Stalker is on a different level. This armored giant is a force of nature, charging at Lara with devastating attacks that can end the fight in seconds if you're not careful. What makes him so tough is his insane durability, as most of your weapons barely scratch him. You have to use Lara's agility to avoid his swings while desperately chipping away at his armor. And let's not forget that he fights you in a cramped, fiery battlefield, limiting your movement even more. The moment you see that massive club raised above his head, you know it's time to run for your life. Centaurs, Tomb Raider Anniversary. The Centaurs are pure nightmare fuel. These terrifying statue-like creatures serve as one of the hardest fights in Anniversary, and they don't play fair. Not only do they have long-range energy attacks, but they can also turn Lara into stone, leaving her completely vulnerable. The key is to dodge at just the right moment and counter with a well-timed adrenaline shot. But even then, taking them down is a grueling process. The arena is wide open, but nowhere feels safe when two giant mythological creatures are constantly charging at you. And if you mess up the strategy, it's game over. Medusa would be proud. Guardian of the Talion, Tomb Raider 2. This massive Yeti-like Guardian is one of the toughest enemies in Tomb Raider 2, and it doesn't help that the battle takes place in a wide-open arena with nowhere to hide. The Guardian's shockwaves can knock Lara off her feet, making it difficult to dodge or line up shots. What makes this fight extra painful is how tanky the beast is. Even with all your firepower, it can take forever to bring him down. And because this is an old-school Tomb Raider fight, there are no hints on how to beat him. Just run, shoot, and pray. Seriously, it's a war of attrition, and the Guardian has way more stamina than Lara. Amaru, Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Nothing will stop me. Remaking the world.
As the leader of Trinity and the final boss of Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Pedro Dominguez, aka Amaru, isn't just a tough fight, he's a walking apocalypse in a fancy robe. Armed with godlike powers from the silver box of Ixchel, he can summon fire, teleport, and hit harder than any ancient booby trap gone wrong. The fight isn't just about dodging his attacks. You also have to deal with waves of cultists because apparently one overpowered villain wasn't enough. With multiple phases, brutal close-range combat, and a fiery arena that looks straight out of an end-of-the-world prophecy, Amaru proves he's not going down without a fight. Too bad for him, Lara's got plenty of plot armor and a grudge. T-Rex, Tomb Raider Anniversary. Dinosaurs in Tomb Raider? Yes, and they're terrifying. The original T-Rex battle in 1996 was already iconic, but Anniversary turned it into a full-on boss fight from hell. This prehistoric predator charges like a freight train, knocking Lara around like a rag doll. You have to use perfect timing to counter its attacks and avoid getting crushed. And just to make things worse, the game forces you to use the adrenaline dodge, a mechanic that, if mistimed, leaves Lara completely exposed. Miss your shot and the T-Rex turns you into a light snack. It's a brutal fight that makes you earn every victory. Sea Serpent, Tomb Raider Legend. This underwater nightmare makes for one of the most stressful fights in the series. The serpent's lunges can end you instantly, and the only way to fight back is by using harpoons and environmental hazards. The limited visibility makes the fight even scarier, as you'll never know exactly when it'll strike. Even if you master the mechanics, the sheer tension of being hunted by a sea monster makes this one of the hardest and most nerve-wracking boss fights in the franchise. Hope you're not afraid of the deep. Kraken, Tomb Raider Underworld. The Kraken boss fight is more about survival than direct combat, but that doesn't make it any less challenging. This colossal sea creature lurks in the shadows, using its massive tentacles to crush anything in its path. Lara doesn't have the power to take it down, so the battle becomes a puzzle-heavy endurance test. You need to use the environment to your advantage, but the Kraken's movements are unpredictable, and one wrong step means instant death. The fight is difficult and unsettling, as the Kraken's glowing eyes and eerie setting make you feel completely powerless. Even when it's defeated, you'll still feel like it's watching you. Giant Atlantean, Tomb Raider Anniversary. This grotesque half-human, half-monster abomination is one of the weirdest and toughest bosses in the original Tomb Raider. It has no legs, yet somehow moves faster than most enemies, forcing Lara to keep dodging in a cramped arena. Ammo conservation is crucial because this bullet sponge refuses to go down quickly. And the worst part, it always knows where you are. That means no stealth, no hiding, just constant movement while unloading bullets and hoping you don't run out before this terrifying torso ends you. Shogo Takamoto, Tomb Raider Legend.
And for this reason, you'd rather die than hand it over?
No. For this one.
Takamoto may not look like much at first, but this Yakuza boss packs a serious punch. Armed with an ancient artifact, he can fire deadly energy blasts that track Lara with pinpoint accuracy. And of course, he's insanely fast, making it almost impossible to get a clear shot. The only way to survive is by using cover perfectly while dodging at the right moment. But even then, his attacks can wipe you out in seconds. It's a fight that forces you to stay sharp at all times, because one mistake and Takamoto turns you into toast. Set, Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation. Battling an actual Egyptian god? Yeah, good luck with that. Set is one of the most relentless bosses in the series, and the fight isn't even a direct battle, it's a race against time. Lara can't fight him head on, so instead, she has to navigate a collapsing arena. The environment itself is your greatest enemy, as one wrong move means instant death. And to make matters worse, Set is invincible, so the only way to win is by sealing him away forever. It's a fight that forces you to stay constantly on the move, and it's one of the most frustrating tests of precision in the series. Sophia Leigh, Tomb Raider 3.
Right. In your next life.
We'll see.
Sophia Leigh isn't just some corporate villain. She's a literal superhuman thanks to an ancient artifact. Armed with lightning attacks that can melt Lara's health in seconds, she's impossible to hit from close range. To make things worse, she perches on a high-up platform, forcing Lara to solve a puzzle mid-fight just to get a clean shot. Meanwhile, Leigh is constantly blasting electricity at you, meaning you have to stay in cover while searching for an opening. If you don't figure out the mechanics fast enough, you'll just keep getting fried over and over again. Honestly, she should have ditched the beauty industry and just ruled the world instead. She clearly has the power for it. Amanda Evert, Tomb Raider legend. Amanda Evert is one of Lara's most personal rivals, and when she finally goes all out, she doesn't hold back. Infused with the power of an ancient wraith, Amanda turns into a monstrous powerhouse, summoning deadly energy waves as well as a giant spirit creature to do her dirty work. The only way to defeat her is by using Excalibur, which sounds cool in theory, until you realize Amanda never gives you a moment to breathe. The battle is an overwhelming test of endurance as her attacks come fast and don't give you time to recover. This was definitely a tough one for Lara, considering it's a desperate struggle against a former friend who wants you dead. Puna, Tomb Raider 3. At first, Puna doesn't seem that bad. He's just some old guy sitting on a throne. I mean, seriously, how hard could he be? Then he starts spamming homing energy blasts, and suddenly you're in for one of the most maddening boss fights in Tomb Raider 3. The problem isn't just his attacks, it's that the arena is tiny, giving Lara barely any space to dodge. The giant lizard minions he summons don't help either. And if you think you can just brute force him, think again. Puna just absorbs bullets like a tank. With no cover and no safe spots, this fight is pure chaos, and unless you master the art of non-stop dodging, you're not making it out of this one alive. Brother Obscura, Tomb Raider: The Angel of Darkness. This floating horror is one of the most frustrating bosses in Angel of Darkness, and not just because of its creepy design. The fight against Brother Obscura is a race against time, as you have to collect the glowing paintings before he blasts you into oblivion. The problem is, the camera controls in this game were already a mess, and this boss fight makes them even worse. Trying to grab the paintings while dodging his teleporting attacks is an absolute nightmare. You'll find yourself dying over and over just because Lara refused to aim in the right direction. Forget puzzles. The hardest challenge here is wrestling with the game itself. James Rutland, Tomb Raider legend.
Well, I have been spending some time with it, and I've learned a couple of things. Let me show you.
Rutland is a cocky rich boy with superhuman powers, and he makes sure you know it. Thanks to a mystical artifact, he can regenerate health, meaning if you don't take him down fast enough, you'll be stuck in a never-ending fight. Oh, and tell me if you've heard of this one before, but he's absurdly fast, leaping around the battlefield like a parkour champion on steroids. The fight turns into a constant chase as you try to line up shots while dodging his explosive sword attacks. You have to be relentless because if you give him even a second to breathe, he'll heal right back up. And you know, the only thing worse than fighting Rutland is listening to his smug dialogue the whole time. Marco Bartoli, Dragon Form, Tomb Raider 2. So, you fight a cult leader, and then he turns into a fire-breathing dragon? That's Tomb Raider 2 for you. Bartoli's final form is an absolute menace, covering the arena in flames while stomping around like he owns the place. His fire breath is nearly unavoidable, and since you have to target his heart specifically, this battle is way harder than it looks. To make things worse, he soaks up bullets like a sponge, meaning if you didn't stock up on ammo beforehand, you're in some serious trouble. And just when you think you're safe, one wrong move and you're extra crispy. Boaz, Tomb Raider, the Angel of Darkness. Boaz is a grotesque mutant nightmare, and her fight is one of the most infuriating in Angel of Darkness. The battle is fought as Curtis, meaning you don't have Laura's usual agility, making dodging her acid spit and sweeping claw attacks even harder. It doesn't help that the targeting system barely works, so hitting her weak points is pure luck. Even if you land shots, Boaz just keeps coming. The entire fight feels clunky and unfair, and with Curtis's slow movement and weak weapons, it feels like the game is actively working against you. When you finally win, you don't feel accomplished. You just feel relieved. Jacqueline Natla, Tomb Raider Anniversary.
Thousands of years I've waited for this moment. Do you realize what you've done?
As the main villain of the original game, Natla is a nightmare in every version. In Anniversary, she flies around the arena while hurling devastating energy blasts that track Laura's movements. Every missed shot feels like a death sentence as Natla punishes even the smallest mistakes. The original fight isn't much easier since she can take an absurd amount of damage while rushing you down with inhuman speed. The worst part, even after you seemingly take her down, she keeps getting back up, proving that she's just as relentless as she is powerful. By the time you finally finish her off, you'll probably be just as exhausted as Laura, if not more. Mutated Dr. Mark Willard, Tomb Raider 3. This boss is pure pain. Dr. Mark Willard mutates into a grotesque spider monster, and unlike most fights, there's no cover, no safe spot, just you and pure terror. He moves way too fast, his attacks are brutal, and he soaks up more bullets than any boss in the series. You have to keep moving while landing constant shots, but even then, his unpredictable movements make hitting him a nightmare. Ammo management is crucial. If you run out, you're pretty much done for. The moment you hear his monstrous screech, you know you're in for one of the toughest fights in Tomb Raider history. When you finally beat him, you'll probably just sit there in silence for a minute. Which one of these bosses really made you lose your mind? Let us know in the comments. Be sure to check out these other fun clips from Mojo Plays, and if you enjoy our content, leave us a like, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.